Llywelyn. Today I'm looking at Wales's journey from being essentially abolished as a country in the 16th century and swallowed up into England, to it having its own Senedd, which is its lawmaking body or parliament. Along that, I want to show you what these words and events mean in Welsh, so you can get a bit of an introduction into the Welsh language. Okay, so let's get started then. Hey, and if you would like to help me support the channel, please hit that subscribe button and leave me a like, and I will try to get back to any comments that you have. Thanks. First of all, let's start with the Laws and Wales Acts.
Order! Order!
Of 1535 and 1542. This essentially abolished any prior legal entity of Wales. It incorporated Wales fully into English law and government, and it essentially made the English common law the only acceptable law. There were native traditions of law, and those were completely abolished at this point. This demanded that English was the only official language of government. It essentially decreed that for Wales, see England, which I'll get to later. It created the Union of England and Wales, which wasn't really a union. It was an incorporation of Wales into England, absorbing Wales out of existence at that time. It established what was called a session fawr, or the Court of the Sessions.
Order! Order!
And this was at least some form of local administration. This was passed in 1542 and lasted all the way until 1830, when it was abolished. But in this time, out of the 288 years and the 217 judges, only 30 of these judges were even Welsh, and probably a minority of those even spoke the Welsh language in a country which was well over 90 to 95% Welsh speaking. So let's look at what those are in Welsh. The Laws and Wales Acts are known in Welsh as Devolution, which literally means the acts of union, or the acts of making one. And guess who the one was? It wasn't Wales. Llys y Session Fawr is the Great Sessions. Kind of like the Assize in England, but that's another story. And cyfraith is the word for law. A gyfraith, the law. It's feminine, so the G comes out of being the C. This Llys y Session Fawr did give Wales some aspect of national identity. Hunaniaeth Genedlaethol Gymraeg, a Welsh national identity. Some Welsh was used in it, but not much, and it increasingly was anglicised and was used to anglicise Wales. During this period, in which Llys y Session Fawr was abolished in 1830, you also had quite a few tumultuous events. The biggest one of these was the Newport Uprising and the War of the Chartists. This was the largest armed struggle in Britain in the 19th century for democracy. It was in Casnewydd, or Newport, in Gwent, and 22 were killed when soldiers fired into the crowd. And what they wanted was the right for men over 21 to simply have a vote, and for property to not be required to stand as a member of parliament, amongst a few other things. It was a pro-democracy movement. There were some radical elements, but those are often looked at too much. This was basically people wanting the right to vote, and it was very pro-Welsh in that sense, and it gave a distinct identity to Wales in the view of the British establishment as being quite rebellious, and it was looked down upon by those, but it became a badge of identity. Chartism lasted from 1838 to 1857, when Liberalism really came in and began to change things. Let's look at a few of these words in Welsh. Chartist, which means the Chartists. Now, for the Newport Uprising, we have a couple words. One of them is Gwrthryfel Casnewydd, which literally means the Newport Rebellion, or Terfysgoedd Casnewydd, the Newport Riots. You also get the Merthyr Uprising in this period as well, kind of a string of radicalization through that time of people demanding some type of democratic representation. Wales was deeply underrepresented in many aspects during this time period, and that would continue going forward, but especially from the 1859 election going forward, Welsh people began to find a new voice in liberalism. Wales was a bastion of liberalism. The Liberals dominated Wales from 1859 until after the First World War. And they changed quite a few things. They gave Wales a sense of identity that was considered different to Englishness, and you began to have a greater national subconscious. Between the Newport uprisings and the Liberal era, you had what was called Brad Llyfrgleision, which was the reports of the Commissioners of Inquiry into the state of education in Wales. But what it meant in Welsh was the treachery of the blue books, because these were bound in blue. And it echoed some older mythology about betrayal when the Saxons came into Britain. And this made English the language of education in Wales. This wasn't happening through some kind of malicious intent, we should emphasize. This was the birth of liberalism, and people didn't know much about bilingualism yet, and what language did and what it was worth. This was well intended. It was meant to help people lift up out of poverty, and they genuinely thought Welsh was a hindrance. So they wanted to give these people English. This is quite ignorant to us today. It is quite ignorant, frankly, but that's what they thought. The MP who brought this in, ironically, was a Welshman, although he wasn't even an MP for Wales, he was for Coventry. The Welsh name for Coventry in Welsh is Queentree. Queentree. And again, that word in Welsh for the inquiry into the education of Wales, these blue books, Brad Llyfrgleision. The word for blue is glas, and I like that plural that we have, a gleision, the blues. Liberal Wales lasted quite a significant chunk of time, and it was really at the height of the British Empire. Liberalism came out of non-conformity, and it was a religious difference between Wales and England through this non-conformity. There was also the fact that the Chartists had many of the elements which became liberalism. Part of this religious sentiment in 1891 gave Wales its first ever legislation since the Acts of Union, which were directly applied to Wales, specifically labeling it as a country, frankly. And this was the Sunday Closing Act. This meant that if you wanted a pint drink on the Sunday, you couldn't get that in Wales because it was against the law. A bit of a dry thing to do, but the Welsh were quite religious in this time, and it gave them a sense of identity that was quite unique. Around this time, the Encyclopedia Britannica was published in 1888, which famously had in a listing for Wales, see England, which meant that it wasn't considered even worth having its own entry as being anything separate to England whatsoever. And this displays a lot of the attitude at the time and what Wales had to deal with. And under liberalism, this began to change. Many liberals were open to the idea of giving Wales its own institutions. By the early 20th century, you had a figure named Lloyd George coming along, and he did quite a lot. more than most people grant today, for giving Wales a sense of national identity. He brought the investiture for the Prince of Wales to Wales. It had been done historically in England, but he said, let's put it in Carnarvon to celebrate that it's Welsh. And this meant that Wales was considered a notch up. It was elevated in view. It had institutions of its own. He brought in the national symbol of the daffodil during this investiture. He also helped with others to bring in the Welsh Guards. The Irish had the Irish Guards, the Scots Guards, and so on. And Wales was given its own guards in the First World War as a national type institution, and given the leek, the royal leek, as a symbol, which again gave more confidence to Wales, saying that it exists as a nation. Also very important during this time in 1914 was the Church in Wales Act, disconnecting the Church of England from the official church in Wales. And in Cathays Park, these grand buildings were laid down and the idea of home rule was considered. The talk of a Welsh Parliament was first really brought to the fore during this Liberal era. You had groups like Cymru Fydd, which in English was Young Wales, and it was a group campaigning for Welsh autonomy and nationalism. Let's look at some of the others and what they meant in Welsh. So, the Sunday Closing Act in Welsh was Deddf Cae Tafernau ar y Sul, the act of shutting pubs on Sunday. Investiture in Welsh is Arwisgiad. Arwisgiad 1911, the investiture of 1911. The Welsh Guards in Welsh are Gwarchodlu Cymraeg. Gwarchodlu Cymraeg, literally protection host. Now, after the period of the wars in post-war Wales, though you did have minor things during the war which helped a Welsh identity, it was mainly done to ensure the loyalty of the Welsh in regards to the war. It wasn't out of wanting to recognize Wales as a nation. However, after the war, there was much progress made. You had a Minister for Welsh Affairs in 1951, and this then evolved the Secretary for the State of Wales in 1964. By this time, Wales had a capital city. Caerdydd is the word for Cardiff. This secretary helped open the Welsh office in 1965, a Swyddfa Gymraeg. And this had offices in that area of Cathays Park, and some things began to trickle back to Wales. That's Ysgrifennydd Glodol Cymru, Secretary of State for Wales. And Swyddfa Gymraeg, the Welsh office. You had laws which had more effect upon Wales. Some things revolving around Wales were administered in Wales. Very small amounts, but you began to see recognition of Wales as a country. You also had it in the Commonwealth, a Gymanwlad, in the Commonwealth Games. In the 1950s, there was a campaign, Senedd Gymru, a Parliament for Wales, but it didn't quite win the main flood of the attention of the public. However, there were campaigns that did get more of a success, and one of these was the Welsh language. By the 1960s, there were being held quite significant protests, and signs demanded to be bilingual. And in 1967,
Order!
You had a law enshrining under law essentially what the Acts of Union took away, and that was the right of Welsh to be equal, and bilingual signs in many cases were brought in. Most importantly, you had Welsh in the courts, and it was legal to be used in many more cases than it was before. After 400 years, Welsh was being permitted in court, and that was a big step forward. This act for the language was in part helped to come to pass by a group called Cymdeithas yr Iaith, the Society of the Language. They were responsible for many of these protests during this time in the 60s and going into the 70s, and it's worth mentioning them, that it helped raise the existence of a Welsh identity. Like English, Welsh uses the Latin word referendum to mean a referendum. And in 1979, there was held a referendum on devolution, or datganoli for Wales, to have its own legislative body. This was refused almost 4-1 by the people of Wales, and this did have a deep psychological impact upon the country. It was a deep blow for those who feel that Wales is a country and has an identity of its own. But at the time, there was a very unpopular Labour government, and referendum was seen as a way of getting back at that government in many cases, which had put the referendum forward as a choice in the first place. Now, during the 1980s, that sentiment about that referendum began to change, because you had quite a few events, like the miners' strike, or in Welsh, Streic y Glowyr, which hit the South Wales valleys quite deeply and ripped apart much of their society. And there was not investment put into those areas when the economic output was taken away, the coal pits. So those people felt a bit angry, and so by the late 90s, after 18 years of conservative rule, there was an opposition wave to those 18 years. And there was offered another referendum on having devolution for Wales, and the people chose yes. And a lot of important powers were given to Wales directly in terms of the Welsh language, environment, and then going forward, transportation, things to do with farming, local investment. And this revolutionized the way that Wales felt about itself. This was called an assembly, and in Welsh, a cynulliad. Now, going forward, it was quite weak, and in many cases, some think it was set up to fail. I don't. It was just an experiment to see if people genuinely wanted to have a Welsh identity in many cases. And in 2011, the people said yes, firmly, we do. And the people voted for more powers. And then they upgraded it to a Senedd, a parliament. And so it's been quite a journey for Wales from not having anything at all in terms of legal representation to having a full Senedd, a parliament, to say that we have a democracy, we are a democracy. I made this video because some people think that we should get rid of our Senedd, and that's completely ludicrous. No one with a right mind should want to go back to a period in which we had no actual Welsh democracy of our own in any case whatsoever. Wales, or Cymru to use its proper name, has improved. It's gotten better. Our Welsh identity is stronger, our language is growing again. All of those things are immensely valuable, and it's something to be proud of. If you like this video, hey, let me know down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.